Today we are going to see lesson 8 Indian economy before and after independence. As we saw about Gandhi, Nehru and all these thoughts, economic thinkers in last lesson Indian economy, now we are going to see about the condition of Indian economy before and after independence. First we will see what are the phases of colonial exploitation of India. The phases of colonial exploitation, colonial exploitation means a colony, a group of people. So there are period of merchant capital, the period of industrial capital, and there was a period of finance capital. Merchant capital, they will tell about the traders during that period, and industrial capital, they will tell about the industries, industrialization, and the finance capital is telling about the finance medium of exchange, money. So we will see this in later in part C. Name out the different types of land tenure existed in India before independence. So three systems are there in land tenure. Zamindari system, Maghalwari system and Ritwari system. This also will be explained in detail in the part C. State the features that distinguish your land tenure system from the other system. So the features that distinguish your land tenure system from other system is that who owns the land, who cultivates the land, who is responsible for paying the land revenue to the government. List out the weakness of green revolution. So the features of land tenure is that who owns the land, who cultivates the land, who is responsible for paying the land revenue to the government. List of the weaknesses on green revolution. Indian agriculture was still a gamble on the of the monsoons. That is, according to the rain only the agriculture will be considered. This strategy needed heavy investment in seeds, fertilizers, pesticides and water. The income gap between large and marginal and small farmers had increased. What are the types of 10th five-year plan? This plan aimed to double the per capita income of India. In agriculture, through agriculture, this plan aimed to double the per capita of India. It aimed to reduce the poverty ratio in India. Its growth target was 8.0, but it achieved only 7.2%. What is the difference between HDI and PQLI? HDI means Human Development Index. PQLI, Physical Quality of Life Index. So we will see what is the difference between HDI and PQLI. HDI, it is a composite statistics of life expectancy, that is about the birth rate, education and per capita income indicators. It deals about these three things: life expectancy, education and per capita income indicators. But what about the physical quality of life index? It is a measure to calculate the quality of life being of a country. Mention the indicators which are used to calculate HDI, that is Human Development Index. Longevity is measured by a life expectancy at birth, educational attainments, standard of living measurement by real GDP per capita. All these are useful for calculating the HDI. Longevity is measured by life expectancy at birth. And next one, educational attainments. How much the economy is educational, literacy rate. The standard of living, the measurement by GDP, that is the per capita income. Now next we will see about explain about the period of merchant capital. As we saw in part B, we are going to see about the period of merchant capital. The period of merchant capital was from 1757 to 1813. The only aim of the East India Company was to earn profit by establishing monopoly trade. Monopoly trade means a single entrepreneur owner in the goods with India and the East Indias. During this period, India had been considered as the best hunting ground to take all the wealth from India for capital by the East Indian Company, that is the Britishers. To develop industrial capitalism is Britain. When Bengal and South India came under political shake of the East India Company in 1750s and 1760s, the objective of monopoly trade was fulfilled. Above all, the officers of the company were unscrupulous and corrupt. So the officers, all the British officers were unscrupulous and corrupt means they were rude and they were corrupt. They are getting bribe. The handicrafts declined in India in British period. Handicrafts means the handmade people, isn't it? Those who are weaving, those who are making pots, or those who are handicrafts, isn't it? The Indian handicrafts products had a worldwide market. You know that, isn't it? Indian products had a worldwide market. India exports a consistent chiefly of hand-weaved cotton, silk and silk fabrics, calicos, artistic wares and wood carving, etc. All these are exported from India through discriminatory tariff policies. How the Britishers are controlling this, declining the handicrafts? First, they are taking through the discriminatory tariff policy. When India is exporting all these things, Britishers are implementing a discriminating tariff policy to pay for the export. The British government purposefully destroyed the handicrafts. With the disappearance of Nawabs and kings, there was no one to protect the Indian handicrafts. Indian handicraft products could not compete with the machine-made products from England, isn't it? We are doing handmade things. They are bringing machine-made things into our country. With this, what they are doing? They are declining the handicrafts. The introduction of railways in India increased the domestic market for the British goods. So they are constructing railways to India from England, and so what they are doing? They are bringing the goods very easily into India. Elucidate the different types of land tenure in colonial India. So as I told you in the part B, zamindari. First we will see about the zamindari system or the landlord tenant system. Zamindari system. This system was created by the British East India Company when in 1793 Lord Cornwallis introduced Permanent Settlement Act. Under this system, what is happening? The landlords or the zamindars were declared as the owners of the land and they were responsible to pay the land revenue to the government. Next, we will see about the Mahalwari system or communal system of farming. After introduction of this system, it was later extended to Madhya Pradesh and Punjab. The ownership of the land was maintained by the collective body, usually the villages, which served as a unit of management. For example, panchayats, and a leader will be there. The ownership of the land was maintained by the collective body, the panchayats. The villages which served as a unit of management. They distributed land among the peasants and collected revenue from them and paid it to the state, to the government. State means to the government. Lastly, Ritwari system. Ritwari system or the owner cultivated system. This system was initially introduced in Tamil Nadu and later extended to Maharashtra, Gujarat, Assam, Coorg, East Punjab and Madhya Pradesh. Under this system, the ownership rights of use and control of land were held by the tiller himself, by the farmer itself. This system was the least oppressive system before independence. This was the system before independence. When the East India Company, the British came into India, they brought the Zamindari system and the Maghalwari system. In Zamindari system, the Zamindars became the owners. In Maghalwari system, the Panchayats become the owners. But in Ritwari system, the farmers are given the ownership. State the reasons for nationalization of commercial banks. The purpose of why commercial banks are nationalized by the Britishers. After independence, the government of India adopted planned economic development. For this purpose, 5-year plans came into existence since 1951. The main objective of the economic planning aimed at social welfare. After the Britishers going out of India, the Indian government planning this, isn't it? After independence, the government of India adopted planned economic development. For this purpose, 5-year plan came into existence since 1951. The main objective of the economic planning aimed at social welfare. Before independence, commercial banks were in the private sector. It was in the hands of a particular person. But after independence, it was got from the private person and given into the hands of the government. These commercial banks failed in helping the government to achieve social objectives of planning. So what is happening? Therefore, the government decided to nationalize 14 major commercial banks on 19 July 1969. In 1980, again the government took over another 6 commercial banks. So altogether 20 banks they have nationalized, isn't it? The commercial banks. For the purpose of social welfare. Write any 3 objectives of industrial policy of 1991. Industrial policy means during the period of British, what they are doing from agriculture, they are moving the people to the industrialization. Liberalizing the industry from the regulatory devices such as licenses and controls, enhancing support to the small scale sector. So after the Britishers leaving, we are going into industrial policy 1991. What are they doing? They are giving license and controls. The government is doing all these purpose for the social welfare. Enhancing support to the small scale sector, from that is cottage industries. Increasing competitiveness of industries for the benefit of the common man. Ensuring running of public enterprises on business lines and thus cutting their losses. So they are making them to get cutting losses means helping them in profit to earn profit. Providing more incentives for industrialization of the backward areas in villages, cottage industries, isn't it? Give a note on 12th 5-year plan. Its main theme is faster, more inclusive and sustainable growth. Its growth rate in target is 8%. The main aim for 12th 5-year plan. What is PQLI? That is physical quality of life index. Morris developed the physical quality of life index. This is a measure to calculate the quality of life, the standard of living of the people. For this, he included three indicators. He took three indicators, that is life expectancy, infant mortality rate, and literacy rate about the education. First, life expectancy means about the population, birth rate, infant mortality also the same, and literacy rate about the education. A scale of each indicator ranges from the number 1 to 100. Number 1 represents the worst of performance by any country. 100 is the best performance. For example, in case of life expectancy, the upper limit is 100. This was assigned to 77 years, which was achieved by Sweden in 1973. The power limit of 1 was assigned to 28 years, which was achieved by Guinea to Bissau in 1960. With this, we stop in this session and we will continue in the next class. Thank you, students. Thank you, students. God bless you all.